Okay, I'd like to call. This is our work session for the month of September. For anybody listening, this is the meeting where we discuss items that will be placed on the agenda to vote next Wednesday. We have no guests to recognize. Recognition of meetings. We had a athletic committee on August 7th and a regular board meeting on August 9th. Next week we will have Pride and Prom. Reports from standing committees of the board, if any. Information reports from our administrators. Mr. Sager.
Start of school went great for me this year. Everything went super smooth. Really no issues at all. Probably one of the best ones so far for me. And that's the drivers, all being here and doing their jobs, getting their routes exactly right. And I think it was super nice.
Yeah, I didn't get any.
In my office and looking at the phone, there was no lights on. I said, what's going on? But no calls, so good.
Yeah, I didn't get any calls either. Do we have, how's the bus drivers this year? We have an extra one or two, or we?
I got 2 licensed already this summer, and we're working on the 3rd one right now. Social license, they haven't really called any people around yet, so we'll get them going. Me or somebody else once they're a couple times out, and hopefully get them going.
Right. Okay, good. Any questions? Go ahead, Joe.
As far as the fleet, we're trying to keep that always going. There's always something going on with that stuff. Every day there's always a surprise. There's a leak here, there's something else. We have radiators leaking issue.
What do we got at Bluebird right now?
Huh?
What?
Oh, we have a transmission overheating. That kind of started towards the end of school last year. Bluebird could be again all summer. It's one of the propane buses with a 4 transmission. Seems to be overheating, and third gear seems to be kind of sluggish. But transmissions are $7,000 to buy a rebuild. So I don't. That's probably what they're going to tell me. So I'll send them evaluate it.
There's no warranty left on it that's any, yeah.
How old are those now?
They're 15 models. We got them 15.
I'd almost be half tempted to.
How many miles is on it?
Probably a little over 100. Maybe not even quite 100, around 100.
Mm-hmm.
But we're up against everything costs so much, no matter what we do. I know that sounds like a lot of money, or
Well,
I've been told by all the companies, we ain't buying no more buses for 100,000 for either. They're all about 125 to 130 now.
the bad part is, even if you can afford it, sometimes just finding it is hard, even if you have the money. But
And I got buses that are, one I had another problem with, took it to Cummins, bus is still under warranty about another month ago. And, Cummins told me to take $3,000 to fix this part, which is part of the DEF system. And I said, isn't that all under warranty? He says, no. So I called Myers where we bought it. He says, oh, it's under warranty. So I got it over there. And, they get it over there, they got no codes on it, so they can't put the part on yet. There's no codes record. So I got another month. So I'm gonna try to get this fixed before that's up. The Cummins is gonna bill me $3,000 to fix this bus.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Sager? Mr. Novak?
Actually, one, how's the body on the bus?
The Bluebird?
Yeah. $7,000 seems like a drop in the bucket.
Compared to 140 some.
He's at $1.25 now.
Yeah, true.
Mr. Novak?
We replaced the lights in the elementary gym this summer and also the gym 1 here at the high school, which we were just in a few minutes ago.
Is that the old gym or the new gym?
The old gym.
Okay. I don't know what.
And the prior year, we did the new gym. So all 3 gyms have the same light.
Oh, nice.
Both of our elevators here at the high school had a 3-year inspection, which we had to have a second-party inspector. So that went well. All of our boilers and pressure tanks were inspected last month, and all of them passed. And we had 2 main seals leaking on our main heating line here at the high school, which we found throughout the summer. They were quite a task, and thanks to Chuck and Rick, and we got them replaced, but just isolating all these lines, getting the fittings loose. But it's been a busy summer here, a lot going on, but we also had a good start up for school year too. We've had some issues with lockers, like we do every year. Try to encourage all the kids to put their combinations in their cell phones, because it's amazing being gone for this holiday weekend how they forgot their numbers, or they transposed numbers. It's been a normal startup.
We got the water softener system, that's all been done?
No, we're Book Approach will be in here. They're finishing up some municipal jobs right now, and they're hoping to have some specs together for us and ready to go out here in the fall.
Okay.
If everything goes right, we'll be ready to do this as soon as school's out. The high school could be without water for a couple days.
Right. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Novak?
Roof project.
Oh,
The roof project is close to halfway done. They're slagging sections that they currently have done, flood and graveling it. They'll be working next, will be on the weight room, wrestling room, and then a new gymnasium. And the last part will be the athletic storage cages that's on the back of the building, and also the overhang of the gym coming in. That's what will be done.
And when do they expect to have it completed?
I bet they're gonna be here until the end of October. They've been fortunate. They're working midnights this week here, off and on, trying to beat the heat. They're actually accommodating us pretty good. They're starting here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The kids are gone. We still have some sporting events, but once they get up higher off the classroom, the new events won't be pulling that tar smell in, like it does in the nighttime. So there is a smell in the morning. It dissipates pretty quick. It's not too bad. They're moving along pretty good.
Mrs. Bell.
We've been running, everything's up and running as usual. I've been overly busy, it seems like more than usual. Our bid meetings for students who are trying to enroll in a district and they say they're homeless. Cameron has done a significantly good job of, trying to show proof of residency. Joe has been doing an amazing job of providing transportation so that we can keep those students in the district that they've been in and not transfer into Laurel. So, I don't know why, but I've had a significant amount of those this year. Other than that, special ed end of things are running smoothly. We've got people trained, we've got kids started. Nothing out of the ordinary. School-wide up and running, Nicole's doing the high school. I continue at the elementary, and everything's running smoothly with that. So.
Okay. Any questions for Mrs. Bell? Mr. Swerble?
They have a joint academic
No, okay.
presentation.
So we wanted to review our Pitt State Eastman scores from last spring. So we're going to go through here, Nicole and I are going to go through each slide, talk a little bit about how many kids tested, where we scored. We also try to look at where we're at compared to other county schools, to get an idea of how we're doing and how we're keeping schools. So looking at third grade here first, this is the third year in a row that third grade in both ELA and math has scored the top of the county. The team's been doing a great job. I mean, that tells us our curriculum's in place, our instruction's in place. We're getting different groups of kids to still achieve at that high level. So it's great. And also tells us that our primary program is working well, title or intervention, and our teachers down there doing a good job preparing those kids for third grade.
So are these the kids that would have been in kindergarten when COVID hit?
Yes. They would have been in kindergarten the year that we came back. In other words, like when we, was
Okay.
like the 2021 school.
There's a return to normal.
Okay.
Right, so, then we were shut down, we were
Right.
virtual for a good portion of
Yeah.
the year. So, and that's the other thing too, like our scores our kids are growing, they're achieving, they're showing, even in the midst of all of that.
Okay.
So that's, that's hats off to our teachers and our admin team coming up with a plan and executing it, making sure our kids still got instruction through all that. So, interesting to see, but, yeah, that team's been doing well, moving on to fourth grade. So in fourth grade, we're looking at, our ELA ended up fifth, but that was only 2.3% away from second. And when you're talking only 66 kids tested, that's only like a kid and a half. And not to mention though, when we're looking at this, one of the things we saw is cohort growth. So in other words, how those kids do in third grade, the same group of kids in fourth grade. And this group of kids, actually, we had more kids proficient in advanced with this group of kids in fourth grade than third grade. So they're growing on the whole grade level. We're growing our achievement. We're seeing that growth even if the kids are moving up in grades, which is a really good sign that, again, our programs are in place, our curriculum is in place, and we're doing good instruction throughout. Fourth grade math, first in the county. That's the second year in a row for fourth grade math. You'll see our math scores at the elementary 3 through 6 were the top of the county across the board. So that's, again, saying that our math program is really achieving high. And then fourth grade science, third in the county. Fourth grade science is always in the upper 80s, low 90s. They were actually only like decimal points away from second. So we're very close to being there in the county. And then on to fifth grade. Fifth grade, both ELA and math, again, scoring at the top of the county. Again, when you're looking at achievement in the 70s, high 70s, that's a good portion of the kids. That's impressive. Looking at even particularly that math score you'll see later on, that 72% is the highest score we've had in fifth grade math. So also another good indicator that we're doing great things. And then sixth grade ELA, third in the county. And again, looking at cohort growth, we have just as many kids proficient in advanced at the next grade level, so that we're growing that achievement as they move up in grade. And that achievement's continuing to increase. And then sixth grade math, this is the second year in the county that sixth grade math has been first. And if you think of, we actually have a different teacher. So we were first, even through switching teachers, we were able to maintain that and continue to have our kids achieve high. And we actually even improved that achievement cohort-wise.
Everybody see Bobby Wentz?
Yeah.
Comment?
The fourth graders were in.
Yeah.
Kindergarten. And then, another thing that's important to note, Dan, that you've brought up previously is, this is one of the best, achievement records for sixth grade ELA. Yeah. So, hats off to that team of, Morgan Richards and Gina Santini.
But each year, the percentage has gone down, correct?
I know what you're saying, Jeff, if you, and that's why you look at both things. So you can follow a grade level horizontally and look at third grade, or you can follow the cohort third to fourth to fifth to sixth. And that's why I think it's important not only look at the percentage, but it gives it relativism when you look at the county rank.
But to what you're saying, like if you look at the state averages, as the grades go up, the averages go down. But we're actually starting to fight against that curve. We're starting to keep even those achievement scores up, which is, that's, again,
If you hold on to your thought, Jeff, I think you'll see what you're saying in 7th and 8th grade in that we score pretty well relative to county rank, but the percentage is rather low.
Yeah, the state averages haven't been released yet, and we don't have this current, or these past 4 years averages, but I can speak to the next one, to the 7th grade. So if you look in ELA and math, ELA we're in 53%, and math we're 30%, but we're 5th in the county. The averages last year for ELA were in the 50s, statewide. The averages for math last year were in the 20s, statewide. So 85 students were tested in ELA and 86 in math.
But Jeff, relative to your point, because those sixth graders, at least in math, would have finished in first place the year before. So when I see things like that, those are opportunities for discussion about curricular alignment. Is the written curriculum aligned with what is tested? If that's the case, it then becomes how is it taught? And if that's the case, then we need to look at the class-based assessments and do they resemble the test? So, when we see data points like that, there are questions to be answered to hopefully improve that, not only for now the current 8th graders or last year's 7th graders, but also we don't want to see the same thing with this year's 7th graders.
I don't know if it's Pennsylvania or there's several states that's gonna lower the standards so you can get your percentages up to make it look better.
So we haven't seen that yet, but that wouldn't surprise me.
Well, one of the things that we need to consider too are these students that are in 7th and 8th grade, if they were higher achieving in 6th grade, then they are going into algebra. They're not going into a general 7th grade math. That they are getting tested both in Keystone that year and in PSSAs of those years.
What is our, Keystone pass rate for 7th grade? Is it-
I have it. We'll get right to it.
Sorry, I don't wanna,
No, that's okay. Well, I'll do 8th grade and then we'll go to Keystone.
thanks.
So 8th grade, if you look here, our ELA score was 62%, which put us 3rd in the county. Math was 31 at 4th, and then our science was 70%, which is 3rd. Previous years, ELA state average was in the 50s. Math again was still in the 20s, and science was in the 50s. So if we compare from last year, we were definitely above that. Okay, so now Keystone, these are the first time test takers. This is the very first time they take the Keystones in either algebra, biology, or literature. So our score in algebra was a 39%. That was 3rd in the county. The state average was a 37%. These state averages for Keystones were not posted on PDE yet, but in the massive data files that we got through DRC, it was listed in there. That's how those scores were compiled. In biology, we had a 67%. We were 2nd in the county, and the state average was 46. So we're well above the state average. In literature was a 72. We are also 2nd in the county there for Keystone literature, and the state average was a 59%. Once again, remember, especially with the algebra students, those students are taking both, a lot of them are taking both algebra and a PSSA at the same time.
Do you have the data up there for the 7th grade Keystone pass rate?
We don't, no, not in this particular slide.
Do we know that?
We have it on the DRC, but we didn't break it out for this. But I tell you what we can do is you can follow up with 7th grade first-time test takers and 8th grade first-time.
Sure.
And we do have a few 9th grade. So if we want to break out the first-time test takers by grade and give it to
I'm just very skeptical. I mean, to have a full class of students in 7th grade taking Algebra 1, I'm just very skeptical about the maturity and ability of a full class of a school our size to have kids ready for Algebra 1 in 7th grade. That's why I was very interested to see the Keystone. I mean, I don't know. I know that generally the academic track used to be pre-algebra in 7th grade, Algebra 1.
Yeah.
Plus you run out of math, right? I mean, if you're Algebra 1 in 7th grade, Algebra 2 or geometry, but you're
Yeah, we still have the math set, and we still have that pre-algebra. And
I guess my question is, what's the upside from a curricular standpoint of rushing them into an Algebra 1 in 7th grade? As you said, it's a building switch.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, no matter how high or low a student is, you're going to tank when you have a building switch. So that's what, then
So I think that clarity to what you're saying is, let's look at how many 7th graders are taking that versus how many 8th graders versus how many 9th graders. I don't want to talk about back in my day, if you will, but algebra tradition was a 9th grade course.
Yeah, the academic accelerated used to be 8th grade.
8th grade, right.
And I know I'm a has-been teacher now. I probably came right in. We actually saw, I think they actually went back. I think this year was the first year where you wanted to take algebra one, it had to be in eighth grade because the maturity level,
Yeah.
just speaking the language, I mean, it's a language.
But at the same point, you have to remember, like, when these kids were taking algebra 1 and 2 in 7th and 8th grade, they're taking their SATs in 11th and 12th grade. The SATs are mainly based upon algebra. So a lot of times, some of these kids haven't seen algebra in 3 years.
Preach.
So,
So that's where, and, you know, I'd be curious about, I mean, that's been this way here even prior to me, so it'd be interesting to see just the department conversation, logic, et
I mean,
cetera.
if we're, what leg do I have to stand on? You show me 100% pass rate at 7th grade Keystone, well, I guess we know where algebra one fit.
Right.
so I can compile that and give it to Mr. Rich.
Yeah, I would like to know, thank you.
Yeah. No, that's a good, that's something to look at.
I think we can go to the next.
So, one of the things that we do is, you remember last year, we kind of call it the Olympics here in the county and see, you know, where we fall. So this first slide here shows all of the gold medals, meaning we're the top of the county. And you can see we talked about third grade, both ELA and math, third year in a row. Fourth grade math, second year in a row. Fifth grade ELA, and then fifth grade math, and then sixth grade math, again, second year in a row. So in the elementary, there's 9 total tested subjects and grades, and we were topping 6 out of the 9. So again, our kids are working hard, performing well, our teachers are delivering good instruction. It's great to see this growth and kind of achievement.
So we were in second place in our 2 Keystone, triggered courses here, Keystone Biology and Keystone Literature. We were second in Warren County with that. Okay. So bronze, which is the third place, obviously, 4th grade science, 6th grade ELA, 8th grade ELA, 8th grade science, and then Keystone Algebra. We were third in the county on those scores. Here are all of the districts broken down. Notice that the bottom 2 have zeros because they didn't submit scores, so we can't compare to anything that's not submitted. But if we look at, if you look at Laurel, we had the 6 gold, 2 silver, 5 bronze, and 13 total medals. We have earned more medals than any school district. If we put a point value and give gold a little bit heavier points than the silver and bronze, Neshannock did beat us out because they had 1 more gold medal than we did. So we are placing very well. We're definitely at the top.
And then, as I mentioned, we had some personal bets, like the highest score we've achieved at those different subjects and grade levels. So third grade ELA, personal bets at 77.9, fifth grade ELA at 77, fifth grade math at 71.6, and then sixth grade math. Those are all personal best scores in those grades.
It's important to remember that includes pre-COVID also.
Any additional questions?
Do we have this sent to us, or can you email these charts? It is on, okay, I'll look for it. Okay. Well, pretty impressed. Thank you, guys. Any questions for Mrs. Burglar or Mrs. Bell? Mr. Lee, do you have anything?
Yeah, just a regular start of school, a couple of things. We did badge everybody, so everybody should have an ID badge. And with that, we work on the access control. Everything is functional outside of 2 doors that came out and had a bad module out the box. So we're in the process of doing an RMA on that, just waiting on that to come back. But outside of, you know, the normal bumps and bruises of everyone coming back and banging on the machine, it's been pretty uneventful, which is a good thing.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Lee? Mrs. Conrad?
Been busy getting the new teachers set up, payroll system, and all the benefits set up, and then all the teachers, letters out for their contract rates, and
volleyball now, and, so we're working on closing out last year, we're looking at about a $600,000 loss.
What do we have budgeted, what loss do we have budgeted?
Okay. Any questions for Mrs. Conrad? Mr. Rich?
Nothing additional. Thank you, admin team, for your preparation, and thank you, for that academic presentation.
Okay, we have a special guest, who's your wife.
I'm sure Maggie doesn't want to wait till the end.
No.
Sorry, I wanted to come to the volleyball meeting earlier today, but my daughter was dancing at the junior high game, and I had all the kids with me, so it would be very productive. But I was able to drop them off and come back. I just want to advocate for the, volleyball program and the fitness program, and just talk about the net systems in the newer gym. I know from my, a long time ago, previous years of coaching, that JV and varsity do practice together. And a lot of times, they're interchanging players, maybe their skill level, they could kind of go depending on age on, you know, either team. And a lot of times you'll bring teams in for coachable moments. So maybe the JV will stop and they'll watch the varsity go through a play, do something that we go back over there and do that while we're running this. So having them side by side is nice for those reasons. And if you look at the new gym, it just has more open space. You can pursue a ball. So the old gym, there is the divider up in the ceiling. So when you're playing a regular game on the court, if you contact the ball and it goes just a little too high, you're going to hit that, and then it's going to come back and, you know, be a dead ball. Also, in the old gym, there is a softball, baseball net up in the ceiling, and then I know in phys ed class, a lot of our equipment gets stuck up there, so I'm sure with playing a game, you would have a lot of issues with your ball contacting that, and then changing direction of the ball or changing the speed of that. I feel like ultimately you would want to practice in an area where you're going to play, and you want that environment to be a game situation, real life, like the home court advantage. So I just feel like putting those nets, that net system in that new gym could be beneficial not only for the volleyball team, but also for phys ed, and we can utilize those with having large classes. We can get 2 games going side by side, and I can watch all the kids in one area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
As a coach
Yeah.
and a teacher,
Yeah.
what space between those nets would you feel comfortable with? Like if they were side by side, right, one post in the middle?
So I think that if it was one post, it'd be difficult because you're gonna have an outside hitting line. So you're gonna go in and pass the ball and you come off the court
Right.
to go in to take your full swing approach. So I feel like there needs to be a little bit of space. I'm not sure the exact dimensions you would need. That's not my profession, but
Right.
I feel like you would need a little bit of space. I played in areas where you have one dividing net and it's really tight.
Yeah. I was just kind of curious if you said, you know, as a coach and a teacher here, I'd feel comfortable if there was 5 feet between
Yeah,
them,
I mean,
or
that'd be great.
6 foot, or.
So sharing a post, yeah, it's doable, but I feel like you're more prone to injury because people then could be running into each other.
Yeah.
If you're playing 2 games at the same time.
Right.
So a little bit of space would be nice. I'm not sure the exact amount, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So the way the gym's set up now, this is your gym, main gym, this is your hoop too. So what's proposed is the net's going this way, so down the vertical middle, right? So would there be any problem with doing it the opposite way? Because of the bleachers coming out.
Well, I think you wouldn't get 2 full courts that way. You know what I mean? Like you're talking, like keep the center net, like the regular playing net, or like
Put a
just have
net
2
here.
side by side that way.
Yeah, go lengthwise, but split them,
Right.
so.
Like
I don't know if you would have enough off-court space, like on the sides at all. You know what I mean? I think it might be like, I don't know, I've never looked at it that way.
What if assuming the bleachers were sucked in?
Yeah, because right now, the current coach, he runs a regular net, and then he has like these little eye hole things on the side of the wall, and he has like a half net hooked up and a half net, so they can practice little drills, like passing to a target and like serving over there, but you can't run an actual like gameplay situation on those little mini nets that are off to the side of the real net.
Jim, walking that off, obviously, I mean, it's ballparkish.
Yeah,
Was there room to have 5 feet or so in between?
yeah, like, Corey laid it out, right? If we, cause like the paint's on the floor now for the regulation. So counting that off, you would have 6 feet with the bleachers sucked in, about 6 feet. And you'd have like 12 feet in the middle, then another net, then another 6 feet. That's why I was asking Megan what she would feel comfortable with as far as,
I mean, I feel like in gym class, it would be a lot of bodies, like this way, like, you know, facing the end court, it'd be a lot of bodies, where they might run into the sides of the bleachers. I don't know what it'd be like for a real gameplay practicing event, but, yeah, it might be tight, I don't know. Sorry, I
No,
never
no.
really thought that way, I guess,
Yeah.
so I'm not really sure.
well, tomorrow, look at it,
Okay.
and then tell him.
Nicely.
Well, the other
I think
reason
I
I'm
should
thinking that is because then these hoops on these ends wouldn't have to be
Retrofitted.
retrofitted to move. These
Right.
ones here, and those 4 already do.
Right, right, they do.
So, I mean, because we wouldn't be able to use this system for tournaments, because there's no spectator area at all, because of the bleachers.
But from a cost standpoint, it's pennies on the dollar compared to touching those end
Right.
hoops. Do you remember what it is just per hole, the cost?
With inflation of them?
Yeah,
I don't know per hole, I don't know that.
well, they probably build
The
you.
whole is like 1,500, but the actual raising of the hoop is what costs, like,
No, that's what I'm saying, that's what I was wondering.
yeah, putting a hole in the floor is not, it's great.
That shot my idea about using 2 gyms.
What's that?
I said that shot my idea about using 2 gyms.
I think too, with using 2 gyms, for gym class, it's hard because I'm walking between both, and it's hard to keep, if, you know, a fight breaks out over here, I'm over there, and I don't always see those things. But even in, like, seasonal play, then you're taking up 2 large areas where maybe another team or sport that could be currently using that space now can't. So,
So the old gym with the post away, was it, the separation is what's the big problem,
Yeah.
not having a
you're
separation?
not able, like, when you're coming off the court to take your approach in, you're going to their other court, so if they're playing in there, you're colliding with them.
Yeah, they don't break it down on
Well, it's given us something to think about. You haven't made it any easier.
you have no idea. I didn't know, I'll be honest, full disclaimer, sunshine law, I didn't know that you leave the court to approach. So I honestly thought, why can't they play beside each other? They're supposed to stay in their own area.
Right,
Oopsie,
yeah,
it's kind of a big deal.
I
I realize, you know, like NASCAR, I guess you can go off the line a little bit here and there, I don't know.
hey, Robin's racing.
Yeah. So, I learned something. So,
Perhaps he needs to listen instead of just hear when his wife speaks.
anything else? Covered pretty much.
Well, no, it's cutting it short.
Where are we at? Plan G or H now?
I think we're double C.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I did not realize that on approaches you're coming off the court and coming back in. So, I mean, you can't play 2 games consecutively side by side, full play.
safely.
Yeah. So, and you're, Ed, if you could just run a real quick tape across it, because I'm sure Jim's probably close, but I feel like if you got 6 foot and 12 in between the middle, you even shave that and go 8 and 8, you know, if you had 8 feet with any kind of cautiousness whatsoever, I don't think, you know.
So you would need 8 on the end towards the bleachers too, to approach.
Well, that's what he said he would have, the way he figured it was 12 between the courts in the middle and 6 on the perimeter
Right,
on the bleacher side. So if you just bring it in a little bit, you could have 8
right,
between each bleacher and maybe 8 between the middle.
right. That's why I was asking Meg what she thought would be comfortable and safe for the kids and what made sense as a coach.
Because that they're, you know, you just need to make the best use of actual space.
Yeah.
And then for a practice, you need to make the best space for the playing area. That is, I don't know, I feel like 8 feet between the courts should be plenty of room to do your approach, because I give you 4 feet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Where
even
you
know
coming
if you're-
from? I mean,
Right, well, that's what, whenever Megan said, you know, make it as real game time as possible, the only way to do it.
that's it.
So you basically need from the wall to like,
4 feet,
so,
8, even gooder.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm just trying to like do it.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying gooder, gooder. Nails on the chalkboard.
Yeah, would've could.
Yeah, so my choreo comes full of it, it's gonna.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
There we go, sorry. It's an assistant cheer coach.
Assistant cheer coach. Any questions on item A? Item B is the 23-24 eighth grade trip club advisor. That would be Sean DeBase. DiBiase.
Yeah.
How the hell you, DiBiase, eighth grade travel club advisor rate of $1,000 per the collective bargaining agreement. Any questions on item B? 23-24 yearbook advisor, Sean
DiBiase.
No, it isn't spelled that way, but DeBlasi, okay.
D-E-D.
I'll have to work on
B-I-B-Asi.
I'll have to work on it. If I can get Neofatistis, I can figure this out.
There you, well, Greek versus Italian.
He's a yearbook advisor for $2,400 as per collective bargaining agreement. Any questions on item C? Item D, musical orchestra director, Nathan Dobbitspec, for the rate of $1,200 as per collective bargaining agreement. Any questions on D? Item E, amendment, secondary English language arts teacher. Approve the employment of Sean DeJohn as secondary English language arts teacher on the approved master schedule of $67,283 as the collective bargaining unit agreement, effective for the 23-24 school year, pending receipt of required clearances and documentation. Any questions on item E? Item,
instructional money.
So we adjusted his.
Yeah.
Okay. Item F, approve Drew Flora as the head girls varsity track coach on step one of the secondary sports schedule for the 23-24 school year, rate of $3,225 as per the collective bargaining agreement. Any questions on F? G, approve Sean DeJean as assistant boys basketball coach, 8th grade on step one of the primary sports schedule for the 23-24 school year, rate of $3,125 as per collective bargaining agreement. Any questions on item G? Item H, approve William Garraway as assistant softball coach for the step one of the secondary sports schedule for the 23-24 school year at a rate of $2,400 as per the collective bargaining agreement. Any questions? Item I, the stream team approved the following students, 23-24 stream team members at the rate of $10 or $10.50 per hour. I'll let you look over those names. Any questions on item I? Item J, approve the transfer of Carol Ritchie from the elementary server to elementary breakfast position effective 8/24/23. This is a lateral transfer and therefore no change in rate of pay. Any questions on item J?
Does that mean we're gonna have to replace the person she moved?
Terry has a substitute, she's helping.
Item K, approve Adriana Steller as a bus monitor substitute for the rate of $53.75 per day effective 8/24/2023. Any questions on item K? Item L, approve an FMLA disability leave in the absence of Richard Steller beginning August 2nd, 2023, with an approximate end date of October 25th, 2023. Any questions on item L? Item M, approve the attached job description for an instructional special education paraprofessional. Any questions on item J? Was there a change in this job description?
So this is a new type of paraprofessional. Right now, the special ed department does not have a paraprofessional. This is to allow us to provide services to a student of high need and prevent that student from going to an outside placement. These outside placements cost us an average of $50,000 a year plus transportation.
Okay. Item 9, approve Jamie Bartley as a transfer from instructional aide to instructional special education paraprofessional at the annual salary of $21,600 prorated for the 23-24 school year effective September 14th, 2023. Any questions on item? Go ahead.
Is this our way of being able to provide additional instructional aid or?
A different class of service.
Correct.
Right, so, because
Okay,
when you
good.
use the word aid versus paraprofessional.
Right, yeah,
Right.
yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to make sure of, is there was a way for us to
Right,
separate those.
100%.
Item O, approve the attached Title I tutors instructional special ed paraprofessional compensation plan for effective September 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2028. Any questions on item O? Item P, approve the following professional development workshop seminars. Angela Murrayman to PATTAN West to strategies for diffusing and preventing challenging behavior seminar on October 25th, 2023 at a cost of district for substitute and mileage. Item 2 is Jessica Neofatistis to the intermediate unit for it's crisis prevention training on November 29th through the 30th, 2023 at a cost of district for registration of $55. Any questions on item P? Item Q, approve attached listing, or approve list of additions to the volunteer and non-instructional substitute listing for the 23-24 school year pending receipt of required documents and clearances. Any questions on Q? Item A, under Committee of the Whole, is to approve the attached resolution 0923-1 entitled Participation in Gender-Pacific Athletic Competition, effective immediately for the 23-24 school year for competitions held at Laurel School District facilities. I don't know if any, I had a copy of it, I didn't bring it with me.
I haven't. So, bottom line with this document is the following. The WPIL and the PIA have made determination of eligibility relative to gender, the responsibility of each principal of each high school. So there's no universal standard. So what this resolution does is it defines keywords such as sex, male, female, man, boy, woman, or girl, with the understanding of the following, that in order to be eligible to play female sports, you are XX chromosome. If an opponent shows up here, we will have our females play their females as defined by XX chromosomes.
What's the enforcement mechanism?
Well, let me finish the resolution. Can we remind me on that again? Okay. Now, that does not preclude individuals of XX chromosomes voluntarily and at their own risk participate in sports of XY chromosomes. And you've had that here. We have had girls play on the football team. We have had female wrestlers dress for the male wrestling team prior. But they understood that risk, and they were not at a biological advantage of our opponent. We believe two things. One, that this ensures fair play. But two, and perhaps most importantly, this is a health, safety, and welfare issue. I draw attention to the volleyball player from North Carolina last year who did not voluntarily play against a competitor of XY chromosomes, was struck in the head with a volleyball and sustained a concussion. That is merely one anecdote. However, we believe that it's fair to say that it's scientific that those with XY chromosome have a biological advantage when competing against those against XX chromosome. So we will be disseminating this upon acceptance. I anticipate two things, Mr. Nimmo. One, of course, in fairness, we need to share it with those who we are scheduled for opposition. And two, I don't think it would be a surprise that there may be a litigious fight for enforcement, because this does stand against current WPIL and PIAA policy and procedure.
Fair enough.
Okay, a procedure not to, okay, this is for our facility. We go to a different school and we find out that it's there. Can we either forfeit the game or play the game.
Correct.
So who makes the decision on the safety factor?
So here's my thing. I think we have an obligation, particularly when we host, to address the health, safety, and welfare of not only our players, but also their players. We are going on record here of our position. Should we go to another facility, and because of biological advantage, and I'm not rooting for one of our girls to get hurt, but could something happen, I think there is a degree of negligence, or at least a degree of awareness by the opposition. Again, the PIA and the WPL has said that it's up to the individual principal to determine eligibility. Mr. Lape has a family commitment, but I've spoken to him at length, and he believes that XX, female only, XY, male, hence the policy. So he supports chromosome and identity, if you will. When we go to another facility, their principal may not see it the same way, and it's my opinion, and that's on them.
Do they have to notify you that they have a athlete?
At this particular time, no, they do not. Now, I can't say I'm aware of every athletic contest that we have faced. I do know when it came to track and field, okay, relative to biological advantage, there was a place winner who had an impact on our competitors' place value at the WPAL meet, and therefore it had standing value for the WPL meet. And it's also my understanding that should we have placed one position higher, that our competitor would have got 3 more throws in order to meet the distance to go to state. That didn't happen. A neighboring district, Shenango, had a more direct impact. So in my example, there's an issue of fairness. I think in the discussion with Mr. Redfoot briefly prior to the meeting, Laurel is being proactive. And, you know, we will put this resolution, Mr. Nima, not only out to our opponents, but we'll also put it out on Penlink. And, you know, I think all 500 school districts in the state of Pennsylvania can be aware, and perhaps others as well want to be proactive.
Question. We go to another school district. We have our document for what we do here. Can we ask them to sign something stipulating that they take on the responsibility of any harm that comes to one of our students? They'll never do it, but
Can we ask?
yeah,
We can ask whatever we wish.
right.
Of course, they're not going to
They're
sign
not
it.
gonna do it,
No.
but in the court of law, they were presented and they chose not to.
So,
Well knowing,
It's just insanity, and obviously this is being recorded. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's just insanity. We spent how many decades of Title IX to protect women's sports?
Yep.
And the same folks that have spent decades to protect women's sports are now demanding we destroy them.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the play that Mr. Rich, I mean, it was a rocket. The volleyball player in question, the transgender volleyball player, went up and just smacked it. This girl never even had a chance to get her hand up. I mean, it was bing, bang, boom, floor.
And it was career ending,
Like,
completely
Yeah.
career ending.
obviously, I mean, so
And not to mention, where does it stop? Does it stop in the locker room? Like, where does it stop? So, no, I mean, when you go to college and you become an adult, we have an obligation to our students to keep them safe.
we have an obligation to our students to protect them from, can't stop somebody else's America, you can't stop somebody's self-perception or whatever, but it's our job to protect those that can't protect themselves.
Correct.
I will say, just as far as construction, I constructed something a little bit different, same type of essence. I sent it to Mr. Mangino for legalese, and then the good state of Nebraska passed, a women's sports rights, bill. So, if you go and compare our resolution to the state of Nebraska, I will gladly say that, yes, there are many similarities.
Kind of like with the Florida something.
Yes, just like our guidelines for instruction, we took from the state of Florida. Much of this is taken from the state of Nebraska.
Doesn't get challenged, we'll ride the coattails.
There we go. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna be challenged. So, here again, all right, and I told Mr. Redfoot this too as well before the meeting. I don't want to drag it out. When it comes to some of my colleagues, I get a lot of moral support. I would like to know when they put their foot down. When do they stand and be counted?
People vote with their wallet. That's why we live in one of the few districts in the county where property values, even during high interest rates, how do we get it? How do we get it? Because we don't just say it, we do it. We're protecting kids. We're not saying, you know, when you go to your superintendent powwow, and they're like, oh, that's good you guys did that. Oh, you guys should do that. Nah. So.
Well, after they have a few injuries, they'll change their mind, but it'll be a little bit late.
What do we say to a mom or dad that comes in here, whose daughter gets her face knocked off in a volleyball game? Why didn't you do something? That's why we're here.
Or gets hurt playing basketball or anything.
Right.
If we go down, I'd rather go down swinging.
Yeah.
Hey, I guess if we face a team that we have this situation, we do have the right to withdraw and just not play them, correct?
We do, and I'll defer to a coach and our athletic director to govern those circumstances. But if nothing else, Mike, I think we go on record. Could be the head coach, could be the AD, whatever the case might be. But I think we go on record that this opponent is definitely having a participant that could represent a threat to the health, safety, and welfare of our participants. So, you know, I think that can be noted if nonetheless, if the event continues.
And I just think it should be, any coaches should know our position on this, that we.
They will.
I think you just withdraw from it and don't even put our students in a position.
Okay, any other discussion on the resolution? Item B, approve Dr. James Gardner as school's physician for the 23-24 school year at a rate of $5,000. Dr. Gardner will perform required student physicals in kindergarten, 6th, and 11th grades and bus driver physicals. Any questions on B? Item C, I recognize the attached agreement between Lawrence County Social Services and Laurel School District to transport Laurel School District resident Head Start students at a rate of $125 a day effective August 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Any questions on item C?
Did that go up, John?
Same rate.
Same rate? Thank you.
Item D, recognize the attached PDE 3086 sponsor to sponsor agreement with Lawrence County Social Services Head Start to purchase meals from the cafeteria for the 23-24 school year. Any questions on item D? Item E, approve the attached engagement agreement with Ricini Group to provide 2023 Affordable Care Act employer reporting for the Laurel School District at a rate of $500, no change from last year. Any question on item E? Item F, approve the maintenance agreement renewal with Johnson Controls for a period October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024, in the amount of $6,398. Last year was $6,850. Any questions on item F? Item G, approve, ratify the following field trips. Miss Amanda Long, Miss Jessica Mouse, and 4 high school students to the Bocce Youth Summit on October 26, 2023 at South Point at a cost to the district for transportation, which would be the school van. Mr. Jacob Holzhauser, Mr. Matthew Pertow, and 11 high school students to the Student Council United Way Day of Caring event on September 7th, 2023 at the cost of the district for transportation, which will be school vans.
Where is that?
We all go to Cascade to start, and then we get assigned a place. We've been a couple different places depending where they need us.
Is there any business come before the board?
Real quick, not new business, but I feel like every year, at the beginning of the school year, I'm pretty much blown away by how much my daughters enjoy going to school at the elementary. You know, one of my daughters is, you know, not shy at home, but it seems once, you know, it comes to a public place, you know, a lot less outgoing and so forth. And, you know, just hearing how, like, some teachers, you know, by omitting teachers, obviously, I'm not, they just haven't had them, but, you know, the impact that, like, Miss Mazan, Miss Nicoludis, and others have had on my daughter, like, giving her a bear hug in a parking lot, helping her care. I mean, just that lasting, I mean, with Miss Mazan, you know, it's been a couple of years, and there's still been that attachment, and, you know, that just shows the culture you guys have at that building, and they just, you know, the relationships, and I just, you know, a lot of calls aren't positive, so I figured, like every year, and I'm not saying the high school isn't, but just, you know, by the time you get to the high school, what you do at school today, nothing. You know, I hated it, it was terrible, you know, it doesn't matter, but the greatest day of their life, they're never gonna tell you that. But the elementary school is still awesome and new and exciting, and the culture still.
Well, you can see the impact Miss Mazan had on last year's graduating class. I mean, after 13 years of school, she was the teacher they picked to give the speech at commencement as their most, yeah.
So, in our opening address, one of the words I picked is S-T-O-R-G-E, storge. The Greeks have 7 different words for love, and storge is familial love. And no doubt behind the children that they have at home come your children and all the children here. There's no doubt when I say our teachers love our kids, that's exactly what I mean.
Oh, 100%. So thank you guys.
Was there anything about homework we wanted?
Not right now.
No.
Okay.
I did volleyball nets for an hour and a half.
It's not 10 o'clock yet, geez, it's early. Okay, is there anything else before I adjourn the meeting? Okay.
Thank you.
Thought we'll adjourn the meeting.
Dan, why don't